It's invisible success in the beginning stages. It's only visible in the end. People only clap you up. Most people quit. When business partners, they don't.
Hello, everyone in the venue. We're about to jump into talking to one of the most highly respected sales trainers in the world, Daniel G. Look him up on Instagram.
We're gonna run this podcast live, right?
Right.
Cool.
All right.
Thanks for having me, bro. I appreciate it.
For sure.
Nice.
Well, going live from the World of Question Center at Ocala Crypto Week 2022, episode 1 of the Fresh Vision podcast.
Episode 1 and part 2.
Part 2. So, thank you for coming out all the way from Miami for this event. How you feeling?
Amazing, man. Amazing. I love, it's interesting because when I was with Steve, I don't know if anybody else hosted events that are watching, but I've done events for the last 5 years. We do events every single week. I speak on other people's conventions and stages. And I look back at one of my, so if people are watching this interview after, I look back at my very first event when I had my convention and, there was 15 people that showed up to my convention. And I sold that shit like there was 1 million people showing up to the day of the convention. And what I realized was this, inside of my business, I have 15 people show up, I have this team. I'm telling this team it's gonna be a sold out event, And I branch away from sales and now I become a sales trainer. So now I think I'm hot shot, sales trainer, business owner, have a sales agency, people are hiring my sales guys. And then I had this event and there was no Saturday, Sunday, it was an hour and that's it. More people are gonna be here tomorrow, but it was that was it. And after I was done, I looked at my business partners and they said, they're like, okay, dude, well, let's stop doing the whole event thing. I'm like, why? 15 people showed up. And he's like, well, yeah. And then I'm like, dude, check out this post. And then I showed him a post with J. Cole, right? And J. Cole, you guys know who J. Cole is, right? If you guys are watching online, J. Cole had this post where there was like 15 people in a venue and he was rapping. And he's like, I was rapping as if there was 15,000 people in a venue. And then, fast forward, 2001 was the post, or 2018, was a post, and then there was like 10,000 people in a venue. So here's the thing. Then we went to Montreal the next day. So I did that in Toronto. I'm from Canada. Then we went to Montreal, and there was like 18 people showed up, 15 people in Toronto, 18 people showed up in Montreal. Still, I hear the feedback. Like this gentleman asked me, he's like, do you ever get pushback inside of your business? But 18 people showed up. So my business owners, my business partners were like, well, dude, look, we gotta stop this thing. We should start going online and not do the whole workshops and the whole boot camp. And in my head, I'm like, damn, an extra 3 people showed up. But to them, it was only 18. But I'm like, if an extra 3 people showed up here, what can we do the next event when I'm in Miami? 25 people showed up. So I cared about the 7 extra people that nobody else can ever see inside of their business. They cared about the 17 people. I cared about the 7 extra people that showed up inside of the conventions. And that mindset, I continued going with that because they always say, the caterpillar butterfly mindset inside of business. Nobody's gonna compliment the caterpillar until it's a butterfly, right? So people have to realize that it's like, inside of business and conventions, and this is a base of what you're building. So I can just see it in the next 5 years. You don't see muscle inside of the gym being built when you're your 9th day in the gym, but you did an extra 9 push-ups. Day 1, you can only do 1. But nobody's complimenting you that you can do 9 push-ups and that your tricep grew like half a millimeter. Nobody can see that. It's invisible success in the beginning stages. It's only visible in the end. People only clap you up. Most people quit. When business partners, most people quit when nobody can clap up their success in the beginning stages. And I always say it's completely invisible. So I just like being a part of something that's new here, that you're creating. So it's wicked, dude, to be a part of this. Round of applause for the gentleman, by the way, for hosting this in Ocala.
Thank you.
And being an innovator, because obviously this isn't an easy city, to run a convention and adopt people's mindset to crypto. It's not downtown Miami. So, hopefully people can watch this and get inspired if they're watching the replay or whatever, and get inspired after.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's kind of surreal because we met like 4 years ago in Tampa, and you were a speaker at a convention, and I remember an individual that I came with, he spoke very highly of you, and I got so many gems from you speaking on that stage. And then I connected with you via social media, and you had a sales training program that you were doing, and I got involved. And it was actually during the pandemic.
Right.
It was so interesting how you started innovating so fast. And I remember how mind-blowing it was to jump on the Zoom and see this numbers run up, because you had to innovate so many times and request Zoom to upgrade the amount of people you could have on that Zoom.
Yeah, because I had the first Zoom, which was 100 people, and then when that first week hit like 110 people, because everybody wanted to do business when it was cool at home, so nobody was doing nothing, so everybody was at home. So then we had like 120 people, and people were in the DM saying, man, I can't get in. So I'm like, guys, get the 250 subscription. So we got the 250 subscription, it packed out the next Wednesday, then next Wednesday was 500, the next Wednesday was 1,000, and then we had to run like multiple Zooms. And I just think, I always take advantage of underpriced attention. So, during the pandemic, I said, if there's a week, it's insane. And then they're like, well, I'm gonna go spend money on ads. That's ridiculous, that's stupid. It's stupid. It's free attention.
Right.
Like, I don't think people understand that if you put a video and it goes on TikTok and you get 1,700 people watching it, and you can have 2 followers, that was like my click when I'm like, whoa, I have 500 followers on TikTok and a video got 20,000 plays. Just picture that in real life, 20,000 people. This whole stadium is packed. With 1,900 people, this stadium is packed.
20,000.
It's crazy. So, I always see that on social media as well. I always, where's underpriced attention, and, I abuse it until they abuse us.
Right.
Like, I use it till they use us. Like, think of it, Facebook, Instagram, all these companies, eventually, they're like, okay, now you want to get some more attention, now start paying.
Pay to play. Right.
Yeah.
It's interesting, I've seen on one of your latest posts, it reminded me when I was back in college, and I worked at Winn-Dixie, and I worked at Winn-Dixie for 3.5 years. And there was an individual in one of my classes that drove by, and he was like, man, you're still working at Winn-Dixie? But everything's a process, and a lot of people don't respect the process. They expect to be overnight successes. And a lot of the greats have said most overnight successes take about 10 years to come in fruition, where those individuals see the fruits of their labor and everybody can see what they've really been working on. And it's signified in this event. A lot of things have transpired, but I'm so grateful for the opportunity. It's like you're putting so much energy into something, and you're growing, and you're elevating, and you just start connecting with like-minded individuals. And you have to think more in a solution-oriented way than focusing on problems. So when you think in that solution mindset, I remember, I'm just gonna share this, I had a couple individuals thinking about speakers to come to this event. And when people were thinking about speakers, I was thinking about solutions and how we can garner those right speakers in order to provide the value to the individuals that come to this event. And in mid-conversation, it seemed like some of the morale was a little bit down, and I was just in solution mode. I shot you a DM, and you messaged me back. I told you about the details, and then I gave you my number. Boom, we got on a call. You're big on execution.
Yeah.
And we were able to get a deal done within 24 hours. And it's just about taking action.
You said, let me think about it. I'm like, for what? Because too many people play this stupid game. Like, I don't understand. Like, listen, so when like there's coaches that, I'm in sales, right? I'm a sales trader. So when people have all these rebuttals to how to deal with somebody following up with you, to me, I always go back to, so when we were talking, right? Woodley's like, okay, well, dude, I'm like, Woodley, I need this, this, and this. Okay, well, dude, well, let me think about it. Most people hang up the phone. And they're like, okay, well, like, how long do you need to think about it? I'm just like, dude, for what? And then he's like, well, because anytime somebody says, let me think about the deal that you're proposing me, there's only two things that are happening inside my head. He's confused or he still doesn't see enough value on the conversation. There's only two things. Either he's confused or he doesn't see enough value. So in between now and Woodley thinking about it on Friday, which by the way, I'm over it. If he says no to me today, I'm on to the next one, right? And I'd love to do it. So I'm like, no. It's because I have belief in myself, so I felt like I can offer you some sort of value. I'm like, no, I'm gonna get this done right now. Because I know between the Monday that you called me, no, it was a Friday, and then on Sunday, you're gonna sell yourself out of it. Because no brain, when people need to think about a decision, and they're not fully, like they don't fully have every point of value possible, is gonna sell them on it. They're always gonna be sold out of it. Because you're not encouraged when you're young to be, making an investment inside of your business or whatever the case is. So the more I take time to think, the more you doubt yourself, the more you doubt yourself, the less action you take. So the more time I give you to think about something, you're gonna sell yourself out of it. So when you were like, hey, let me think about it, I'm like, this is never gonna get done. Every single time somebody says, let me think about it, I'm like, this is not gonna get done. He's gonna come back with an excuse. He's not gonna come back and fire off his conscious brain, where his conscious brain is like, I want Daniel. Or you wouldn't have hit me up. That was your conscious brain. Your subconscious brain is gonna be like, I don't know if it makes sense. Daniel wants, an Uber from here to there. Daniel wants to be flown here, But the conscious brain said, no, I want Daniel. But if I let him think about it for another 2 days, it's gonna go right back into the safe and secure brain that says, hey, watch out. We gotta save, we gotta do this, because nobody encourages you. So it's gonna go back into the subconscious, which is effed up since you were young. So to me, anytime somebody says, hey, follow up with me, let me think about it, I'm very empathetic to realizing that person's confused, number one. Number two, I don't take excuses inside of the business. So this morning I was on a sales call. Somebody said, can you touch base with me next week? Do you know how many people are so accustomed? It's a dance. Conversations are dances in business, meaning like, if you say, hey Dan, follow up with me next week. I love what you just showed me. Follow up with me next week. We're selling a boot camp for $150,000 for this organization, a 3-day boot camp. And most people, because they just play the prospect's dance, are just gonna fall into that follow-up cycle. And then they follow up with them next week. And then I just said, oh, I don't do that. Because if conversation is a dance, who leads the dance? Either Daniel or you. So I need to lead the dance now because you're trying to lead the dance. You're saying, hey, by the way, follow up with me next week. And most salespeople, the prospect only uses the word follow up because he knows it's part of the sales jargon. So he's like, hey, can you follow up with me next week? And he knows if he says that, a salesperson's like, oh, I got to follow up in my calendar. Let me schedule for next week. And I just told him, and I think Steve was there, or I was on a Zoom call with my sales guy this morning. I just said, well, I don't do that. Because most people would start falling for the dance. I'm like, well, I just don't do that thing. What do you mean? And he's like, well, can you touch base with me? Well, next week. Again, in my head, I'm gonna be sold out of the deal for a week. So I'm like, if people can just eliminate that inside of their vocabulary, they would get down to the bare naked truth of everything that's happening. When they want to get an investment, when they want a deal done, too many people leave their deals into obscurity. Whether it's a $1 million deal or a $50 deal or a $50 million deal, a decision is a decision is a decision. So I said, the decision maker on the product is confused about something. I don't want to get off the call saying, hey, when do you want to follow up? Automatically, I just gave you the position of posture. So I'd rather just say, hey, by the way, I can follow up with you in a week, but it doesn't matter if you take a week to think about something like this or you take a year to think about something like this. You're going to have to make a decision about something, and it's going to have to be a viable decision. Either A, about the product, so maybe you're still a little bit confused about the products and systems. Number two, maybe about the investment, how you're going to get an ROI. Or number three, if you can even think about whatever, implementing the systems inside of your business. Out of those three, what are you a little bit more confused about? Well, Dan, it was just a little bit more, we have a spending thing, so it's just about the ROI. Okay, so it wasn't think about it, it was an ROI conversation. It's just that most people just leave the conversation and then they go to bed at nighttime and they're confused as why they get an investment. To me, at least if I'm getting off a call, I want to actually know what I'm working towards. So when people say follow up with value, whatever the case is, now I can actually follow up with some sort of specific value if I'm not going to close the deal here. Right? So to me, I always just don't take things in conversation. I don't know how we got on this conversation, but I don't take things for front. Like when somebody tells me something, I always want to go a level deeper. The question is not what and why. When somebody says, I want to think about it, what do you need to think about? A horrible question. You don't lead the conversation. As a business owner, as an investor, you always want to lead the conversation. So you want to look at what your past clients were confused about as to why they were hesitant in the past, and use those as tools inside of your conversation to lead the conversation. So hey, by the way, Woodley, when a lot of my clients in the past, when I think about it, they were hesitant on these few things inside of our business and these components. Now I raise them up and I deal with the hard objection inside the business. I think this works for anybody. Anybody that are investors that try to communicate on a phone call, whatever the case, it doesn't have to be sales. Dude, is that what he painted in the last?
Yeah, it is. Isn't that crazy? Shout out EJ Neves.
That's
Neves. Yes.
Yeah, I just think a lot of people, they have to get down to the hard conversations. Everybody loves the easy conversation. Nobody likes a hard conversation. And by the way, people love anybody here that is going after investments or anything. People love people that can lead them. It is the number one thing. People love people that can lead them. That's it. People like people that know where they're going. So when somebody knows where they're going inside of a conversation, they start listening to you a little bit more. Nobody likes a person that asks what or why. People like the person that says, by the way, you're confused. I'm going to show you what a lot of my clients are confused about before they go make an investment with us, and as to why they're onboarded with us and why they partner up with us. These were the few things that they were confused about. I'm leading the conversation. That's the most attractive thing inside of a conversation. Somebody's looking at somebody. When they go make an investment, they go pay somebody, they're asking one thing in their head. Can this person get me the results that they say they're going to get me? That's all they're asking in their head. Can Woodley get me the results that he says he's going to get me? I'm looking at you. I'm not looking at your business. I'm looking at you. That's why when people say, hey, people buy from people, not products, they're literally sizing you up and saying, can this person, do I think I can become successful under Woodley's hands? Can he make me successful?
And it's interesting.
And now I'm showing off as I'm physically right now, but I'm saying now I got to show off that I can help this person on a conversation.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Makes sense. Makes perfect sense. And something you said a little earlier, it's interesting. Talking to one of my business partners, we have a NFT project that hasn't launched yet called the Meta Donkey Country Club, and we were talking about another project that had some trouble. And within the Discord, the founder of the project went to the thousands of people in the Discord, and they're asking them, what do you think we should do? And that crushed that project because they had a vision that they were promising the people, they were telling everybody, and what transpired, the whole project just went downhill. And they weren't able to recover from that. And they didn't have any solution to resolve the issues that were brought up. Another thing I noticed is a lot of people, once they run into one roadblock, they just give up. This entrepreneurial game is a marathon. It's about endurance. It's about being strategic and pushing forward in order to achieve what you're trying to achieve. And so many people, they give up when they get that first no, that second no. You could go through 10 different no's before you get to that yes. But if you give up before you get there, then there's no point. So what do you think about some of those concepts?
What did I say yesterday on the podcast?
What you said yesterday is
when I said when people give up in sales, what did I say?
People give up when they lose belief.
But what did I say yesterday? I was on a podcast with you, and I said people give up because they put the position on the pedestal. Do you remember what I was saying?
Yes. What you said specifically is you've elevated over time. That's a fact.
No, but what did I say I treated like?
You treat it like a job.
So people inside of business, again, they come into business and they put business on a pedestal, and that's when they lose.
Exactly. They put being the business owner, being the CEO, being the head honcho above actually running the business.
No, just being an employee. Why running a business? I'm an employee. That's what people fucking lose inside a business. Sorry for the F-bomb. I'm an employee. I'm the best employee. I go to bed at nighttime and I still say to myself, somebody would love to hire me as a salesperson.
Right. And you said you treat it just like you're a sales associate within your business still.
Yeah, because if most entrepreneurs just gave the same respect that they would give to their full-time job when they used to work, and they wouldn't take a 35-minute lunch, they would crush it in business. Problem is they take 3-hour-and-a-half lunches inside of entrepreneurship when they become an entrepreneur. But if they were just to put a 35-minute lunch and say, by the second time I do a 45-minute lunch, I get fired. Period. Done. So would you hire or fire yourself at the end of the night? You'd fire yourself. If you were the manager of yourself, would you hire or fire yourself? You'd probably fire yourself because you took 3-hour lunches back to back to back. Number one, so my work ethic has to stay there when I'm employed. Number two, I'm not emotional anymore when I'm employed. Remember I said this yesterday, I said, I don't get emotional, because when you're employed, you don't get emotional. Do you know how much shit that we take when you're working a job and you keep it shut because you know you gotta get paid?
People put up with a whole lot.
A lot. Meaning your manager can give you crap, your clients that come in, that walk through the door, it doesn't matter what industry you're in, they can give you crap, they can treat you rude, they can verbally abuse us, they can say some, and we still keep it hush. I worked jobs when I was young just to get the paycheck. But then when people get inside a business, their ego's out of their ass, and then 5 people tell them no, and then they're done, and they quit. But remember yesterday I was telling you the story, I'm like, you don't quit when one person tells you no when you're serving them dessert. You go to the next person and you say, hey sir, would you like dessert? You don't go to the back and say, oh, this job's a scam. You keep asking people, sir, would you like dessert after the meal? So the reason why I say that employee mindset in the beginning stages is because that's where discipline is built inside a business. Everybody says the word discipline and motivation. That's where it's built. People need that in the first 2 to 5 years of their business, is to treat it just like a freaking employee, because they don't know anything else. When somebody says treat it like a business owner, you were never a business owner.
You were still an employee?
No. When somebody says treat this like a business, how do you know how to treat it like a business when you never ran a business?
Right.
I tell anybody that becomes a business owner, I say treat it like a job. Treat it like it's your freaking job, because you don't know how to run a business. So treat it like a job. Just work your ass off like you worked your... And then if you learn, like I said yesterday, if you learn how to respect the current position that you're in right now, then you'll get the bigger position, whatever. If you're as an employee right now, then when you get the business, you get the business if you earn it. Because if you say you deserve something, you've lost, you've given up. That was my video this morning on Instagram. You've given up. The moment somebody says, I deserve to be in that person's position, they've already indicated that they're gonna work less for whatever they have to earn inside of their life. If I say I deserve to be a speaker on this stage, I just indicated that I'm about to get lazy inside of my business because I should be in that position. Think of the subconscious thoughts that are, like the language that people use dictates the thoughts that are inside of their head. So if I'm saying I deserve to be in Woodley's position, I am now saying, since I deserve that, I shouldn't have to work harder for that. Instead of just saying, I'm gonna work my ass off, and the universe always works in an even playing field, and whenever it comes, because like the timing inside of life is the only thing that I can't control. I can control output, but I can't control timing. That's up to the universe, God, whatever people believe in. I can't control the timing. I said if you deserve it, you would have it already. But if you think you deserve something in your business, there's a reason why you have God. But Daniel, I made the same sacrifices you did. Yeah, hold up. Maybe it hasn't been that long of a while. Maybe you haven't been through something that has just chewed you up and spit you out. So when you get success, you're not gonna be able to handle it, so you're gonna lose it right away. So maybe that's why you don't have the position right now. There's a reason. Like I feel like God is not going to give you something that you can't handle and hold on to. We've heard about this. So if I said, what's worse? Remember on my video this morning, I said, what's worse? I said, getting success fast, right? And then losing it. That's the worst thing you can ever do. Instead of taking a while, getting success fast and losing, because now you tasted it and now you lost it because you didn't have the preparation work for it. So to me, it's like sometimes you kind of got to own that it's taking a bit and a while, because then I'm like, oh, this is preparation work. Do you know how easy it is for me to speak? I could speak 72 hours on my topic. This is not my topic, but sales. If somebody says, dang, go train this company for 72 hours. Here's 3 turkey sandwiches. I'll speak for 72 hours on sales.
And a bottle of water.
And a bottle of water. Why? Because I've owned the actual skill set and I focused on that. The speaking was a byproduct of whatever else. To me, I didn't look at anybody and say, oh, I deserve that, I deserve this. I'm just like, I'm gonna work for it. So to me, I honed in on my skill set rather than anything else. And when it comes, it comes. I don't put anything on a pedestal.
But you know, Daniel, there's something that I notice with different individuals, and it's within myself, and I see it in you as well. There's a reason why so many people elevate at such a rapid rate, or they do things that are seen to be abstract to the environment. And there's a quote, I don't know who it's exactly by, but it says, greatness must shatter the gravity of its environment. And I see you do different things that many people are not doing. Your consistency and the discipline behind your branding and the way you position yourself is incredible. One thing I noticed that you do more so than majority people is that you treat your personal brand just almost as consistent as anybody would treat a business. They go to every single day. You're on top of it, and the way you position yourself. I noticed me and you talking a little bit before, you saying how you started in sales almost over 10 years ago now. What would you say spun you into that avenue, and why do you think you've had successes that other people haven't?
The whole personal branding thing, again, that whole thing, it's I don't split my activities inside of my business. So somebody becomes a business owner, and then they're like, well, you know, when I'm this, then I'm going to start building my personal brand. You just split your activities, meaning you don't get to pick and choose in business. Right. Early on, you don't get to pick and choose. People are like, I'm going to scale. Scale what? You don't have a business. You don't scale nothing. You work your personal brand, you work your sales, you work your marketing. Everybody knows this to build out a business. You do all components, the whole
we hope so.
Pardon?
We hope so.
Well, no. When you're working a business, you have nothing to scale. So those people just quit fast because they try to hire people if they don't even know what they're doing. They don't have enough budgets and they stretch themselves too thin. So any good business owner is the operator in the beginning stage. We get it. The problem is that the mindset becomes, what do I get to choose? Do I do sales? Do I do customer service? Do I do personal branding? You don't get to choose. That's the problem. You do all. You do both. Right now, before I came up in here, it's my job. This is what I mean. It's my job. When I look at my personal brand, it's marketing. It's a component. If I still feel like nobody can do it as good as me, my team, I'm gonna freaking do it. Nobody's gonna wake up in the morning, put out a video, edit the video, and post it out. I did that in the morning this morning. I did that before I came here because that was my first part of my MBOs inside of my job. I just got to do it. So to somebody, to somebody they're gonna say, "Oh, he's so consistent." To me, I'm not thinking about that. I'm generally not thinking, because it's a term, consistency.
Right.
But nobody goes to compliment the guy that shows up and goes to work and says, "Bro, you're so consistent in your work." He just goes to work and does it.
Exactly.
Do you see what I mean about the pedestal thing? I literally woke up this morning, somebody's gonna say, "Man, how do you stay so fired up? Bro, you're so consistent." I'm just doing, okay, I have 10 things to do today. I just do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Personal brand becomes a part of it. Why? Because whatever my investment is towards the end that I ask somebody for, there's a process that the human brain goes through, and the personal brand is the first thing now. So say, for example, and I'm the sales guy, but I'm a great marketer and promoter. I have to be all of them, because if I try to close somebody on something, I gotta present them a solution. I can't present them a solution if I haven't talked to a lot of people. Even if I try talking to a lot of people, they're always gonna go back to who I am, which is my brand now. So my brand supports my closing. So a lot of people will come up to me and say, "Man, I'm lacking in the sales thing." I'm like, "Really? How many people have you presented to?" "Well, okay, well, you presented this many people. How many people have you talked to?" "Well, this many people." "Oh, it doesn't matter how many people you talk to. When they go back to your profile, you have no brand, so they don't even trust you anymore." So you think it's a closing thing, but it's your personal brand. So you think you're a bad salesperson. You're probably great at freaking selling. Who knows? But then I go back on your profile and you build no trust with me. So I'm like, the harder I market, the easier it is to sell inside of my business. So the harder I go at marketing, the less talking, the less breath has to come out of myself and convincing myself as to why you should do business with me.
Exactly.
Because I just showed up. Think of it. I just showed you, I showed off for 4 years on my personal brand. That's what's selling people. So now my sales, to ask for the money, is a lot easier, right? I think people just got to do this as a whole. Whether you're CEO, business owner, everything, you're always going to be selling. And this is the new way to just sell it, is a personal brand. So to me, I always say, okay, if I go, like, the more pain that is spent in this, the easier tomorrow is. So if it's hard to do the personal brand, this is where most people quit on doing it, whatever it is, staying consistent. I just know it's going to be a lot easier to ask for money in the end. I have to do a lot less convincing in the end. I don't have to sell somebody as to why I should train them. If somebody says, "Hey dude, why should you train my team?" I gotta get back to work. Obviously I didn't do a good job of you seeing me 85 times on social media.
Right.
You know what I mean? Why do I have to sit down and sell you for 4 hours when I could just learn how to have leverage inside of my business? That's what leverage is. Post one video, 1 million people see it. I don't need to spend time, calling on 1 million people. It's so much easier now. That's why I said underpriced attention. And now more than ever, it's easier to build a personal brand.
Right. And your resume speaks for itself. I think you jumped from like 100,000 followers to over 1 million.
I never jumped.
Well, you didn't jump. It was a progression.
Yeah, I never really jumped. Like, it took me a while to get from 10 to 50, 50 to 100, 100 to 250, 250 to 500. There was no jump. I just, I would say in 4 years I got nothing. So everybody is like, "Oh, the overnight success guy," but in 4 years I had nothing. Nothing. I was pushing every single day. Live streams, one person a day on my live stream. 2 people, 3 people. So then it's like, is it really a job? Not really. Because if it's like, everybody says overnight success, but there was 5,000 doors knocked, 10,000 live streams, which nobody was watching, 2,000 things. So it's not really, I don't really see it, as a jump. And I also don't look at the vanity metrics a lot on my social media. I look at one thing that is most important for me. And I think I said this yesterday to a couple folks. The only thing people should be focused on their social media is the current people that are engaged with your stuff. Meaning, if I go look at posts, I just look at who's sharing that post. I don't look at the likes, I don't look at the plays, I look at shareability. That's the number one thing you're trying to, most people go on social media and they try to use it as a selling factor. And they don't understand that social media is the complete marathon play. Like your Instagram is your marathon of your brand. So what that means is, most people go on and they start describing out their business. It's an old school mentality and they get turned off. A lot of my old friends that are in business, they'll literally post a sale on their social media, on their personal brand. And then they just forgot it's a personal brand. And they posted a sale on it. I'm like, you could do that in your stories. But your whole job as a personal brand is to ask yourself one question. If you were to post something on your social media, would you repost that on your stories? So every time I put out a post, I'm like, if I was sitting down to a third party, would I reshare that post on my stories? And that makes me think about my personal brand a lot different. The way I show up and the way I give value, most people try to use it as a marketing tool and not a branding tool. Those two things in business are very split differently, marketing and branding. Most people use those words as if they're simultaneously together, but they're not. They're two different things. Branding is an invisible trust line that nobody can see. Marketing is a call to action. Most people just use social media as a marketing tool, when in reality, it's like 90% branding. So the call to action is a lot easier.
Right.
Branding, it's the trust building factor. It's what I do 24/7. Marketing is, hey guys, by the way, my name's Daniel J. I just released a playbook, swipe up. That's marketing, that's an ad.
Right, your branding makes your marketing that much easier.
Call to action's a lot easier. So when I'm thinking about this whole social media thing, I'm thinking like 90-10. How do I just show up, and just every single post that I post out, maybe you guys go back to my social media, it is a very shareable post towards my audience. All my posts have a lot of shares because I always say, would I reshare this? Maybe Steve says, okay, it's good, but to me, I don't think it's good. I'm like, no, he doesn't know my audience like me. That's why when people scale out their social media too quickly, I'm like, you screwed up. Why? Because it's personal. You gotta know yourself, you gotta know your audience. I've still not scaled out my social media. I've been 6.5 years on my social, and I haven't scaled it out to where somebody can post for me. Because it's the vein and the vessel of my business. I understand my people the best, and it's community. People don't want to be, do you know how many people, I was with my friend Jay last week on my stage in Miami, and I said, you know how many people have a following but they don't have an influence in the community, and it's very different? Like an influence in the community is very different than a following. That's why I said forget the 1 million followers, that's junk. I look at my community. That's what's huge. Many people can have 5 million followers, but they can't put 5 people on a call. Because they're not with their community. They're not following with their community. They're not on a live stream. They're not asking questions. I've been on a live stream every single day for the last 5 years. I never missed a day on a live stream. Not one day. Not one day. Actually, I missed one day when we got stuck in Mozambique, Africa. I was stuck there for 48 hours. We got like hell.
Steve was telling me about that.
Yeah, that was fun. But that was the only day, dude, that I took off social media. And I'm looking at my phone. I'm like, I literally can't go live. I had 1 bar. And the reason why that's important to me is because, again, it's my personal brand. I'm there with my people. So when people ask, man, how did you do it? Well, again, I built a community. I didn't just build a following. I have a strong community of people that are attached to me, that have rapport with me without me ever even meeting them. People already rapport and sync with me.
It's interesting. We have a lot of different business owners, personal brand, people are building a personal brand, and artists in the crowd. We had EJ take the stage not too long ago. What would you say 3 things that those types of individuals need to focus on the most?
Yeah, number 1, I think it's, they're again, underpriced attention, just looking at it more as a job, like I said in the beginning, not really blowing up like this personal branding thing like it's hard, because I really think not enough people utilize it, whether they're a real estate agent, they're a crypto founder, they found a project, or an events owner, whatever the case is. Most people don't understand that, this is why people are buying from you. They just want to work with you. Like, people have bought my personality over my content a lot of the times. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So if I'm an event owner, for example, there's event owners here. If I'm an event owner and I have an event company, it's one thing to just post what your business does, but it's another thing to show people behind the scenes, the work, the process, the struggles that you go through, why, the value of having a good event, a bad event, a mid-tier event, a top-level event, like educating people and being okay with nobody responding to that and not getting caught up in a transactional process. That's your brand, because it's not transactional. So most people just got to treat that, I think, as a job. I think the second thing is, building people up one by one and not scaling too fast. To me, I made that problem inside of my business. I have hundreds of sales employees that work in multiple offices from South Florida to Toronto. And we have an agency office where we outsource sales individuals to other coaches, companies, and consultants and organizations. And, I tried to scale too fast in my business, meaning I tried to go so wide so quickly instead of, just making another person an animal inside of my business, then the next person, and then I'd rather now pay somebody $250,000 than 5 people $50,000. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly, because that person's embodied and believes in the brand and would take action similar to what you would do and put in the work, because they're grooming that mindset and they're built up in order to take on different tasks and problem solve and move forward.
Of course. And the third thing was collaboration. I've taken my brand to another level in my business because I was very smart with the people that I was a super connector. A networker, a good networker is like, they're super connectors. So when I'm like, okay, the easiest way to gain credibility is now you're leveraging their credibility because subconsciously, that person's saying, oh, Daniel's edified because I just went on this podcast, right? That's natural laws of human nature. You want to gain credibility, you leverage somebody else's credibility, because now you subconsciously qualified me to say, okay, Daniel's good because he's on my podcast, or vice versa. It's like if I was in a Starbucks with a girl, or there's a girl at the front cashier and I like the girl and I walk in alone and I'm like, hey, let's go out for dinner, she's probably gonna say, well, no, it's okay, but... And then, a week later, if I come in with a girl in Starbucks that's a beautiful looking girl, beautiful looking like her, and I'm like, hey, by the way, how you doing, da-da-da, and I ask her again, that girl subconsciously qualified me, that's beside me, my friend, because it's happened before, to say, hey, by the way, he's good. Oh, now the person's gonna smile because she's like, oh, there's a girl beside him.
Right.
Why am I saying this? Because you can grow your brand by going horizontal on your collaborations, and most people are too scared to collaborate with people that are close inside their industry. They screw up because what happens, they think it's a loss. And it's crazy because it's such a scarcity mindset. When somebody thinks, okay, I see this a lot, I'm a threat, I'm young in the industry, I'm 28 years old. I only started sales training when I was 24. Nobody in their right mind that was above me. When people are like, oh, did you have mentors? No, my mentors that I wish I had hated me. So they would never look at me and say, oh shit, let me partner up with Daniel because he has the young guys. They would see me as a threat. I'd be like, oh my God. I'm like, I don't even want this person as a mentor anymore. My friends would say, why? Because I'm like, they think so small. I'm like, if they were smart, they would think about grabbing Daniel and be like, Daniel attracts the young people. Let's bring Daniel in. It's going to be bigger. And we can all have a community as one. The problem is that they think when people think they collaborate with people close in the industry, they feel like they're going to lose something. But if you lose that person was never part of you in the first place. So to me, in my head, I don't ever look at collaboration as a sign of weakness. I think it's the highest level of business, especially like the close-knit collaborations. You will see a lot of multi-millionaire and billionaire business owners get close to each other more and more now because they realize they can build a bigger community, and it's just a sign of confidence. So to me, I've grown my brand and excelled because I've been able to have the ability to say, hey, you know what? All of us 10 are in the same industry, let's all come together. People were receptive to it over the last 3-4 years, and then what starts to happen is that a competitor close to me comes and speaks on my stage, and then 2, and then 3. And then the guys who said no to me are like, yo, man, so when's your next event? Well, somebody has to be the leader and do that. And I've seen that excel my brand 100x, and the impact that it had on other individuals was enormous because I've introduced my audience to people that they didn't know. Their audience was exposed to me, and everybody's brand was growing. Everybody's communities were growing. Again, to me, collaboration, you just gotta look at the right people that operate with good ethics and morals, and just look in your industry, who can you collaborate with? It's the only, if you wanna go from 6 to 7 in your business, you can't do it yourself. You can't. It's a 7 to 8, it's such a big jump. 8 to 9, massive jump. A year, you have to get other people inside of your business to support you and collaborate with you. And you have to do the same thing for them. It's a reciprocation of value. So you have to say, hey, what can I do to these people, so I can help them and I can build a relationship with them. Like, I have to put on a stage. Before I go on their stage, I have to put on a stage. So now I got you on my stage. Now they're gonna say, because this is all it is. Stage sharing, all that stuff. It's not a matter of pay anymore. It's not. You don't want to build your business pay to play type of game. It's a matter of, okay, Woodley got me on his stage, now, okay, Woodley, come to this stage with me. That's the point of a partnership relationship, and this takes an investment. Most people aren't willing to do it. It's an investment. You spend tens of thousands of dollars to do something like this, but it's a relationship. It's an invisible relationship play. It's genius on your end. You're a genius.
Appreciate it, for sure.
Anyways, man, appreciate it.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
One last thing I want to throw in there. There's something that I noticed that a lot of people don't really have an eye on. So when it came to talking to you about this event, it was easy for me to work a deal out with you, but I noticed the humility aspect is you've done so much great things. You have hundreds of employees. You've spoken on hundreds of stages, but you make even the highest level of person and even the common person feel like they can approach you and talk to you, and that's how you've been for such a long time, and I appreciate that.
Of course, thank you, man. I appreciate it. And I think what's super important is, to me, is I never, ever, ever inside of my life want to lose like the fun person that got me to where I am today. That's why I'm always inside of my business. Like, I always have fun. No matter who shows up, I'm always giving it 150% inside of my business. Whoever's around me, I'm always gonna pour into them, because at the end of the day, like, it's the only thing I take home when I die. I don't take home anything else. Like, when I'm dead, I don't take home my money to the grave. I'm gonna judge my success based on how many people show up and care about me when I'm dead, or talk about me, or whatever the case is. That's how I'm gonna judge. I'm not gonna judge it based on all the money that I made. So to me, I'm like, one eye open at the casket on the funeral, who showed up here? If it's empty, cricket, man, you can make a lot of money and rock a nice watch, but if you didn't pour into anybody, you didn't build real relationships, then what have you left behind, right? So to me, in my
that's
business,
powerful.
Yeah, I always say, I'm like, humans, and I really mean this, like, it's not on some Instagram thing or like, some online thing. Like, I just said, me and Steve, somebody asked us to go speak in Mozambique, and it wasn't my organization, and I said yes right away. And most people, do you know how many hundreds of DMs that I got, and I get till today? I go to India on November 7th, and people say, no, why are you going there? Why are you going there? Why are you going there? And I'm like, I'm going there because you're questioning me about it. And the only reason why you're questioning me about it is because a lot of people probably won't do it because they put their paycheck first. So they want to say they're in it for the people, but when it comes time to it not making sense, or it being a little bit risky, or it being a little bit difficult, or it's a 25-hour plane ride, they won't freaking do it. But I said, how many people, go into these countries and literally go pour out their heart out to these people for 8 hours, 12 hours, and would genuinely help them? I'm willing to freaking do it. This is why I said in the beginning, I always say, like, the universe works in an even playing field. I never had to focus about money inside of my business, and I really mean this. So many people put the money goal on, like, on their top of their board. I'm just like, how do I just serve the most people I could possibly serve until I'm just dead and burned out? Because I always say the money will take care of me. It's going to be a byproduct of all the people that I get in front of. It's okay. It's going to take care of me. It's going to work in an even playing field. If I give the universe a certain amount of deposits, I can take a withdrawal. It's going to give me a natural withdrawal. It's just that so many people, when they want to go withdraw money, it's an empty bank account because they haven't deposited to people of the universe. So it's empty. So it works on an even playing field. Whatever you're trying to withdraw out of your life, have you made deposits under it? So it's like I naturally put the universe under a sense of obligation where it just feels like it owes me something. And whenever I don't feel like I've gotten something inside of my business or inside of my life, I haven't given enough into the marketplace, into the universe, where it's reciprocated something naturally to me. Does that make sense?
Makes great sense.
Like that's why I never go back to the deserve it mindset. I'm like, wait, no, I just haven't made enough deposits. I just gotta keep making deposits. And when the withdrawal comes, the withdrawal comes. And usually it's more sometimes than expected, because you're not attached to the end result of anything. You're working your business from the heart.
Right.
Anyways, dude, I appreciate you.
I appreciate you.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate everybody that showed up to
For sure.
You guys are awesome.
Absolutely.
And everybody watching online and the replay, show up to the next convention, Ocala.
Yes.
2023.
And we call this a Fresh Vision podcast because When I was elevating out of an interesting situation in college, I used to work hard and pray for fresh vision. And I felt like God would give me the instructions on how I would execute my next steps. No matter how difficult things may become, different adversity that you may face, but you can continue to improve and refine and make a better situation out of what people deem to be absolutely bleak. And I appreciate you, Daniel, for coming on.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
And we'll catch you on the next one.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.